Another Ants on a Rock video. Welcome to the Ant Corner. Hey there Ant fans, and welcome to another Ant Corner update. We're going to start here with a colony of Lasius niger, also known as the Conquerors. Again, not much activity still in this colony. I've been regularly feeding them and they are still eating, but they haven't really had the population growth that some of the other colonies have had. I can't really explain why, apart from the fact they decided to nest in the drainage layer instead of in the sand layer, and this might be restricting growth due to space. Next up, another colony of Lasius niger. These are still in the back test tube, but I have attached a second water test tube for them to nest in to the other part where they weren't that interested in the ant hut nest. Still, they don't seem very interested in this one either, but the water in this test tube is about to run out, so hopefully that will spark the move. They are still active and they do feed regularly, but again lacking that big population boom that I've been hoping for. Next we have the Shaolin, a colony of Myrmecoruba European fire ants. Again, they get fed regularly, same as all my other ants, and they have been taking on the protein as well as carbohydrates. They live in this ant hut nest connected to the outworld, and surprisingly enough, I've had them about 6 months and they've never laid any eggs. They live quite happily, and like I say, they do take in the protein, but the queen has not laid any eggs. I do keep it very humid, but I'm going to try and add a different type of nest soon to see if they prefer it and if it's a problem with the nest. Next up, we have a Mesobarbarus colony. This is one of my Mesobarbarus colonies, and at this point, now I'm doing the voice recording, this is all changed. They have now entered a new nest, and I will show you that in an update video coming out soon. As you can see, there's a few different test tubes that they were using in the nest, in the tubs and tubes setup. Lots of seeds about, and there's a waxworm and some carbohydrates. They have been eating it all regularly and taking it all on, so that's going really well and they're growing really well. Camponotus I can't pronounce it, Vincus, something like that, from America. 2 of the workers died in the space of 1 day, and I couldn't work out why. I thought it was down to just the queen, but I had a look in and there is now 2 more workers, so they have been born whilst I've had them, which is a positive move. These new workers are yet to venture out to forage, but I'm hoping that the queen stored enough protein beforehand that they'll carry on producing eggs. Next, in this test tube and found in Outworld, I have a second colony of Mesobarbarus. These are the redhead variety. They're doing really well. I had only actually seen 2 workers coming out to forage, so I wasn't convinced there was many more, but upon looking into the test tube, there was probably around 10 nanitics already walking about. No majors yet, but a massive pile of brood and eggs, so I'm really excited about that. Again, these 2 colonies have been moved from this shelf and are now on the other side of the ant corner, and I'll show you that in the next update. Moving over to the other side, we have my Murano Plus bicolor. Again, they're doing so well, I don't ever really need to worry about them. I just put in their food and their carbohydrates, make sure they've got water, and they're pretty hardy really. They can deal with most temperature fluctuations, although I do keep the heat at about 25 to 27 degrees for them in here. But it does get cooler during the night, which isn't an issue for them it seems. They feed really well and devour most of the food I give them. Always a few workers active on the surface, but I know there's hundreds underneath, digging almost constantly. Down here I have my colony of Camponotus hercularis. They were in a tubs and tubes setup, but I hadn't seen them moving out of the tube for at least 3 weeks, so I wasn't sure if they were alive or dead. I had a look and there's still the queen and 5 workers, but the whole time I've had them they haven't laid any eggs. So what I've done is I put a little bit of cotton wool in the front of the test tube. They can easily take that out, but it means they're secure, but they can come out if they want to. This colony of Myrmecoruba, the Red Army, was one of my first colonies of Myrmecoruba. They had a massive die-off, with most of the colony suffering on one day, and they got down to about 3 to 4 workers. I've now seen probably 5 or 6 foraging at any given moment when they're out in force to eat. So that's really positive that they're starting to make a comeback. Hopefully they will continue to do well and become a thriving colony like some of my others. This is my tubs and tubes setup for my Manica rubida queen. She is semi-claustral, so she's just in this test tube. I don't know how many eggs or anything she's got, but I'm pretty sure she's got a lot. She comes out several times every day. I regularly see her eating her waxworms and carbohydrates. Loves the protein, smashes in the waxworms, so I'm really positive and looking forward to seeing how this colony does, and expecting quite a bit of brood in the test tube. This colony of Lasius niger is the imposters, and they are looked after by me and my daughter. They live in this setup and it is amazing. They do so well I can't compare them to my other colonies. There must be a couple of 100 workers now, and if I gently pull this tinfoil down, you can see they have been very busy with their digging projects. This also does go on the back much larger, where it is completely dark. I didn't remove the covers on the back at all, but if you look, there is quite a few ants in there as well. If I give them one singular waxworm, go back a couple of hours later, there is not even the remains of a waxworm left. They smash in probably one waxworm every other day, if not more than that, and this is a big roach, actually, the first roach that I tried with them, and they seem to do that really well as well. They love their carbohydrates and they love to dig. As you can see, all the sand on top is really loose. This is because all the sand that you can see is sand they've removed from in the tunnels, and that's a lot of sand. Anyways, moving up the shelf, we have another colony of Myrmecoruba. I was sent these by Best Ants UK, and they're doing amazingly well. They smashing in their protein, they're smashing in their carbohydrates, and I did check in the test tube and they've got a huge pile of brood. Again, I'm not yet comfortable to just expose the test tube to light. I will allow them to run out of water in the test tube before I really want them to move. They are using the nest, as you can see there is ants in the nest, and they're using the test tube as well. They're quite happy and comfortable doing it like this, and I'm happy for them to do so. And I can't wait to see how big this colony grows. You may notice this extra test tube on the side. I do have more ant colonies coming up, which I haven't announced on the channel yet, and I won't until I know they're going to work. And one of the last colonies I'll show you today is my new colony of European honeypot ants. So cool to see their replete. They didn't do well in the ant lab nest, didn't want to go in there at all, so what I've done is tubs and tubes set up, same as I always do, and now they seem to be doing quite well. I see them feeding on their carbohydrates a lot, and a fair bit on their protein. Again, I cannot wait to see this colony grow into a massive colony. It's going to be so cool, and I hope you're there to watch it as well. Now you know what I'm going to say. If you haven't subscribed yet, please feel free to. It really does mean a lot to me and enables me to make these cool videos for you. And as always, see you again, ant fans.